Oh, awesome. We still have a little time to record. Hello, I'm A-Rye. Welcome on back to Oasis Sidetracked, where we're going to be talking about a lot of random things. But let's go ahead and get. Sorry, I just drank a lot of coffee. Mm. And yes, to some of the people that saw some of my older stuff, I did stop drinking coffee for a while. Just because I had some surgery on my nose. Corrective, life enhancing surgery, mind you. Nothing was wrong. Well, I mean, stuff was wrong, but it wasn't like I didn't get injured and needed surgery. So it wasn't like dire like that. But, anyways, I was finally able to afford it with good insurance. I've had a clogged up nose my entire life. I think it goes back to when I had gunk, and like my mom would like suck out the gunk with like this like squeezy thing to shove up there or something. Like I don't know, maybe I was struggling once, and maybe one thing led to another, and maybe she messed up. I don't know. I definitely don't blame her. I mean, dealing with kids is hard. Uh, any parent knows that there's times, no matter how cute they are, no matter how much you love them, you're just like, oh my gosh, stop crying, screaming, and all that. But you know, they don't know any better. They're babies. That's why, you know. And shaken baby syndrome is a real thing. That's something you got to be careful for. So anyone out there planning on being new parents, I was fortunate. I was part of a Earn While You Learn program. So basically, I used to get checked for STDs over at this free clinic that it was called the Alpha Center up here in Fort Collins, and they're kind of more of a religious-y outfit. And when I told them that we were considering abortion, oh, sorry, oh, jeez, that's pretty. But then we decided not to. We wanted to keep the kids. They were just all excited about it, and pro-life and all that, which is great. I mean, I'm not saying it's not. And I'm very glad that we did decide to keep the kids. But basically, just me saying something, not really thinking it through, and then like, oh, well, that ended up getting them to be like, oh, well, we actually have this program where we will give you money every month for diapers. And granted, it was a gift card to Walmart, and so they were like, well, technically, you can spend it on whatever you want. We're going to trust that you're going to get diapers because you're going to need diapers. So whether you use this gift card for that or you use the money that you saved that you would have spent at Walmart for this, whatever. And so it was cool. And they explained that to me. And it's worth saying because a lot of times people will feel guilty because if they take some kind of charity, kind of philanthropy, kind of help, or whatever you want to call it, and it does matter. Like sometimes it's the difference between getting help and not getting help is pride. I mean, it stops us from doing a lot of things. So, but anyways, my point is this outfit, they did an Earn While You Learn program where they gave me free diapers every month, or $30 worth of diapers every month for free, as long as I attended these classes. Now, what these classes were is I went to a local coffee shop and I sat with a lady that she would teach me how to be a good parent, how to not accidentally kill my kids, basically. Like SIDS, what SIDS is, which is it's sudden infant death syndrome, I think it is. But basically, what they label like, oh, did the kid get suffocated in their crib? Like, was there a blanket in there that they accidentally choked on? And suffocation, you can't breathe. That's a very real danger for babies. And well, if you watch Breaking Bad and people that are throwing up in their sleep. Anyways, and it's a very real problem, and so something to be aware of. And I was very fortunate to have this happen. Really, I think we need to have these classes and these things available for all parents, but it just happened to align with their goals of trying to prevent as many abortions as possible, and that's fine too. Like I've said before on these sidetracked episodes, I have a lot of family that are still very religious and are actually in support of the Roe v. Wade being overturned and supporting an abortion ban. Okay, now, and this is where it gets really dicey. If you say the wrong thing in this argument around the wrong people, it's really easy for them to kind of fly off the handle with you because, and understandably so. So let's back up a little bit. So Roe v. Wade was a law, or it was like a court thing that set precedent to where abortions were legal. They were legally protected as you were able to do with your own body what you want. Now, and this is kind of funny because the whole war on drugs totally negates that. Because if you're trying to put something in your own body and it's a drug that's deemed illegal, then guess what? You are not in control of your body. You're going to prison for like multiple years. So, and that's where like we're working on it. We're finally getting to the point where people are it's people are starting to understand that the war on drugs was a big mistake. Now, it sounded great on paper, Like, oh yeah, let's keep these kids clean and away from drugs, and drugs are evil, and the people that peddle them are evil. Well, the people that peddle them are no different from you or me. They're people. They're out there like they saw an opportunity to maybe make money, maybe to make other people's lives less miserable, maybe this, maybe that, maybe there's so many different reasons why someone might break those sets of laws. And I've also said on here I'm a recently certified white hat cybersecurity professional, meaning that I will do what I can to prevent cybercrime. And that also extends to normal crime, but I like to approach it in a more preventative approach. And by that, I mean I would rather prevent malicious activity from happening in the first place than trying to catch it after the fact. Now, it's still important that we catch people doing things after the fact as well. Otherwise, people could just do whatever and get away with it, and they could let their emotions completely control their actions. And that's how you get like mafia and killers and all that, and like the things that we like to watch movies about, but we really don't want to happen in real life. We don't want there to be a real Bonnie and Clyde ever again, which is kind of funny. Let's back up a little bit about Bonnie and Clyde. So that's one of our famous criminals, our criminal couples of American history. Now, it was from my understanding that it was either Bonnie and Clyde or Billy the Kid or one of these like notorious criminals. They were going from place to place, destroying records of loans. So they were basically robbing banks of people's house mortgages. They were basically doing Robin Hood type stuff. Actually, I don't know if that was Bonnie and Clyde. Bonnie and Clyde might have just been robbing banks and running around and like two lovers that were them against the world, and they took it very literally, them against the world, and they had a bunch of guns, they were killing cops, and eventually they died in a shootout, I'm pretty sure. But my point is they were people, and people will people given the right situation, environment, and set of factors. So, given the right set of factors, people will people, including terrorism and terrorists. Like, people will kill large amounts of people they don't know if they think that they are justified. And that's where it gets dangerous. So, in fact, we'll loop all of this back to Jesus' blood being wine. That's it. Like, Jesus' blood being wine was one of the biggest accidental faux pas in human history to accidentally cause, well, the war on drugs, too, because a lot of the people that supported the war on drugs are very religious people, people that like to go to church, Christians. Like, not that all Christians are very religious. There's like varying degrees of religious affiliation and fanaticism. And I do mean that. Like, some people take religion too far and they'll let it cloud their judgment and allow a lot of very bad things to happen specifically, and bad things to who? Now, and that goes back to where I've said this a lot, good business, quote unquote. And that's why we have so many classes in business ethics. I had to take a business ethics class for just having a minor in business administration, which I love my degree. I didn't like it at the time because I thought it was like lesser, like, because my degree is an applied computing technology degree or an ACT degree, which is kind of funny. It's like act, go do something, like go fix these things, and I intend to. And a lot of the programming classes we did had textbooks saying stuff like problem solving with Java or problem solving with C++, because you're solving problems. You're solving these problems that come up with, okay, we have calculators and computers that can calculate these massive amounts of information, but how do we work them? How do we wield them? How do we craft and like manage this sorcery that is computer science? Well, it's really not. It's just a bunch of electricity and special rocks with incantations written on them. But that's basically what it is, and that was the funniest way I've heard in a while. Computer science explained was like it is sorcery. It's a bunch of magic rocks with incantations written on them or engraved on them that make magic happen, like create anything. Like literally anything can be represented digitally in these online and all this. So, and it's amazing. Humanity can really pat themselves on the back for that one. And that all came from a bunch of stoners out in California, Silicon Valley. Like, and Bill Gates dumpster diving created Windows. Like, he ripped off some other people with their source code, and then Apple is based off of Linux. So, like, if you really look down at the bottom of all this stuff, it's people being people. People making money, trying to be successful, trying to provide for themselves and their families in the ways that they know how. So, and let's also take a sec to relate cannabis to technology. So I just recently read, or when I was getting certified as a white hat cybersecurity professional, meaning, basically, oh, whoa, we almost broke our shovel. Whew. Never mind. Let's take some of this. Let's start manufacturing this glass. And we gotta start... Yeah, we gotta fix up this place. Wait, where am I going? Here. Okay. So... Yeah, see, I almost destroyed my shovel. It has mending, so I can heal it back up. But in order to do that, I need to start making trades. I need to grow some crops. There's not a lot of dirt around. So already I'm going to need to commandeer... Oh, and the shovel's almost broken. But we do have emeralds, so let's go ahead and heal it up with some of our emeralds. And trade with the villagers to get bread and stuff like that. Oh, you're right, it's bedtime. Let's go ahead and fix that. We got a bed. We'll take us a black bed. And we will... Oh wait, it's daytime. It didn't even matter. Alright, so they'll wake up soon. And actually, while we're at it, let's start to grow... Put them all the way up in the tower. Why did I do that? There we go. Let's take the seeds and the saplings and the emeralds and the emeralds. Okay, well, we need to make our shovels stronger, so we're gonna bust up the emeralds. Also, let's take some of the wood. Okay. We're gonna need to make a workshop of sorts. And we can even improve some of the houses. Like I noticed, like this one got chopped in half, or this one. One of them, anyways. You know what I'm talking about. There. I was like, I kind of want to see it now to make sure. But anyways, what are we trying to do? Fix the shovel. First, we need planks, and we need a crafting table, and we need to basically either pick a place or or we'll pick this glitched out area. I don't know. The wall. Nah, not even that. We'll just have an outdoorish type place. There we go. Put it there. We need a couple of these. Put that down. Oops. Now we can actually stash all this stuff. All the saplings and seeds and things that we'll be using in the near future for stuff. And we need the crafting table for the emeralds. Lots and lots of emeralds. And heal up our shovel. You like beets? Okay. Nice. Ah, wait, come back here. Okay. And we're going to take the pies. And we're going to take the... Oh, not cookies, though. Well, now they're already to a point where we can start trading melons and pumpkins with them. And the shovel's already halfway there, so... Oh, another beets. We're going to make a lot of beets for these people. Okay. Nice. Where did all those experience points go? There we go. That was good for a band-aid. There you go. Kind of more of a walkway up. Let's help you up there. There you go. Okay. And eventually we'll get stairs and we'll make this a whole nice place and fix it up and everything. But for now, we need dirt and stone. And that sounds very random, but follow me here. We need dirt for the crops and stone for the furnaces to cook all the glass, which we really don't need all of this sand to like cart it back and forth with our other base. Oh, wait. And I want you Make it rain food. Okay, that's an undignified way. You can just hook them up by doing that, and someone will get it. Yep. Here, you take some too. And they will, I mean, you got to trust that they're really distributing it and making it to where they'll all feed each other. And actually, do they eat this? I don't think they do. They don't like pumpkin pie? Maybe? They do not. Don't like pie. Okay, they'll eat vegetables. They'll eat any of the crops that you can farm. Well, not any of the crops. They'll eat vegetables. They'll eat, and not all vegetables, as I say that. And try to start building up some crops here so we can start growing some other stuff. It's hard because they're harvesting all this stuff. Huh. Oh well, anyways. We could always go back and get more, but really we need to find, and looking at the map, probably going to have to go closer to... Yeah, let's do it. We need some dirt, about 2 or 3 stacks, and then we're going to need to fix our shovel. Okay, and while we're doing that, let's get back to the topic. So, world peace. That's basically the whole point of all of these side projects that I'm doing. Now, world peace is a pretty tall order. I mean, we've been wanting that since we've understood what peace was and what war was. So, forever. Now, there's a lot of different ways we can go about doing it and a lot of different types of peace that we can achieve. Well, that makes it sound like you're shopping at a grocery store. You're like, oh, I'll take this flavor of peace. No, basically, what we need is to have it to reach a point where we treat each other with respect and love. That's it. And anyone who's a fan of Bob Marley or anyone who's consumed cannabis in their day would know that, oh man, if the whole world did this, we wouldn't have war. We wouldn't be hurting each other. We wouldn't be killing each other. We wouldn't be greedy. We wouldn't. And that's just it, too. But it's when people don't use it and they use things like alcohol, that's when they start forgetting it because alcohol is like the exact opposite. It consumes resources, it makes you lose resources in the form of being hungover. So every day that you drink alcohol, number one, you're useless when you're drinking alcohol. Like, you can't be trusted to run most jobs. I mean, not all, some, I mean, sure. But like, you're a lot less likely to do a good job when you've been consuming alcohol. And then if you consume too much alcohol, the next day you're worthless too. Like, not worthless, but you're not going to be able to do your job. You're not going to be able to do the work that you could have done had you not drinking the alcohol. Now, and then with cannabis, you still probably shouldn't be doing it while you're consuming the cannabis. Although you can, a lot better than you can with, and if you don't believe me, ask just about any college student. Like, it's, it's a thing. So, I mean, people go to class stoned all the time. They do a lot of their studying, like, even, maybe not like stoned, but there's definitely like several levels of intoxication or even just consumption of cannabis. So, anyways, I digress. That's getting really into the weeds. But like there's a whole science behind it, and like there's experts out there that can explain it a lot better than I, and there's scientific studies out there that can explain it better than I. But the fact of the matter is if you put it down to alcohol or cannabis, it's a no-brainer. Like cannabis is way safer, way less dangerous, and less deadly too. Nobody's died from cannabis, not directly. You cannot die for a cannabis overdose. You know, you might die from like respiratory issues, I don't know, or something like that. Like it could contribute to some dangerous things. So that's why it's not completely safe. But at the same time, nobody's had too much weed and then they just died. Now that's not the same for a lot of other substances, including alcohol. You can have too much alcohol and die. Now it's a little harder to do, but and it takes it's spread out over time. But here in America, we have people that die when they get put into jail and they're too drunk or they have to go through alcohol withdrawal. Meaning, if they're used to having so much alcohol so frequently that they can't go a certain amount of time without it, without dying, that's called dying from alcohol withdrawal. So, and then dying when you're on it. You can die from drunk driving if you try to drive a car. If someone else decided to drive a car while drinking, they could crash into you and kill you. We have several instances of this happening, like so many that it's amazing that alcohol is still legal. Well, alcohol is still legal because we tried to ban it back in the Prohibition days. And so, for anyone who's not familiar with that, that's where you get all the original gangsters, the mafiosos, the people running alcohol. And it's because they saw a need and they filled the need, and they thought, well, we have the support of our family that, we'll be forgiven if we do these things, selling this illegal substance, as long as we, this and that. So the bottom line is alcohol was smuggled, sold, created, manufactured illegally, just like a bunch of substances are today. So, and really anybody should just watch Breaking Bad. Like, I'm not saying everybody go out and smoke meth. I hate meth and I hate opiates. Like, those are the two that always struck me as like, there's no coming back from this. Even though there is, and I know a lot of people that have used both substances in their lifetime many, many times, leading perfectly normal lives, perfectly capable of being successful, of being productive, responsible, like all of these things. And yeah, so, and even as I say that, if you don't believe me, then, and if you just think that everybody is just ruined if they've ever touched the stuff, like they're just no good, then you might as well make it a death sentence. And the scary thing is people like Trump are actually okay with that. He said something like, death to drug dealers, basically, and that is going backwards. That is like the anti-opposite. Like he's playing into the war on drugs so much to the point where he's willing to kill American citizens for making certain mistakes. And that's just ridiculous to me. Like that, in fact, one of it was, and sorry, we won't get too political here, but we will. There will be a little bit of politics because it's all connected. You can't change everything without like, politics has to be addressed. But this part of getting political is I saw a little video snippet of Trump being interviewed, and someone said, "Oh, so you support the death penalty for this for drug dealing like this?" And he's like, "Well, yes, that's right." And then they're like, "Well, do you realize that that person that you were just praising, that person that you're all supportive of, would actually have been killed if this law was in effect when she was in trouble?" And then he had to stop and think about that. He was like, "Oh, crud." Like, that means, and he's like, "Well, yeah, I guess so. Like, if she's breaking the law." And it's like, wait, no, how can you not right there, like, just admit that's the pride thing too. That's where pride is ugly in the other way, where people they won't give help because they're so prideful and so stuck in their ways, and understandably so, because people with a lot of money they don't have to worry about a lot of the problems that the common person has to worry about. So it's a lot easier for Trump to stand up there and tell us how we should live because that's how we need to live for him to maintain his wealth, for people like him to maintain his wealth, old money, and stuff like that. And granted, we're getting better. And I'm not saying anything like purge or anything violent or dangerous or illegal or anything like that. I'm saying we fix this problem with a bunch of other solutions. And that's where we get into the ideas that I was having. And again, a lot of this stuff, it's not my idea solely. Like, I don't claim credit for all of this stuff. It's a combination of all of my colleagues, friends, acquaintances, anybody I've ever interacted with that has helped me give these ideas, or probably even had these ideas themselves, and I'm just parroting them. Like that's okay. We don't need to worry about fame for this. I'm not getting paid for this. And even if I was, probably turn around and pump all that money back into. In fact, I know I would. I would because I'm already doing it. Like I'm getting paid from a really good job that I have from a lot of work and hard work and studying and learning computer science, learning cybersecurity. Like I didn't just stumble into being an IT person. Like, and I get paid good for it. I'm not going to deny that. I want to help everybody get paid and everybody not need to have a lot of money, basically. And I'm not alone. That's like the basis for hippy dippy things like, peace, man, love, man, like unity or plur, peace, love, unity, respect. And that's where like a bunch of ravers, like if you go to a rave and you see people doing the plur handshake, and granted a lot of them are using MDMA or ecstasy, the love drug, but basically, and definitely a lot of cannabis, but it's people going to music concerts and like realizing that we need to love each other and respect each other as people. All people, not brown, white, black, whatever, like just people. If it's a person, if it's a people, then we need to be nice to them. We need to respect them. We need to love them, and we need to treat them as ourselves because they are ourselves. They're us. All right, let's see here. And the optimistic thing about all these videos is we're getting there. Whether, there are a few barriers standing in the way. The war on drugs is one of the major ones, but Like, and I'm not saying you need drugs to show compassion and respect and stuff, but it definitely helps. Like, sounding like Otto, the bus driver, would be like, "Oh man, I don't even need drugs to enjoy this," but they definitely help. Like, but what I'm saying is, like, if people just have a different perspective, which is easily gained through use of cannabis or even mind-altering substances like hallucinogens, like mushrooms, LSD, and all that, like that'll also help to give like a different perspective, like a whole different point of view that people didn't originally think of. And that was made by the government and the military. They made LSD. Now, magic mushrooms, those have just been eaten for, forever. Mm. And actually, we just legalized them here in Colorado for clinical use. But that also paved the way that you can produce them at home. You can grow mushrooms at home and not get in trouble now. But the exciting thing about that is mushrooms, psilocybin specifically, the chemical that is in mushrooms, actually helps to treat addiction, PTSD, and depression. Even just depression. Like, we have people so sad, so depressed, so out of touch with life that feel like the only hope is to kill themselves and suicide. Give up. And I do have kind of some stock in this. My dad committed suicide, and alcohol was a huge contributor to that. His general outlook on life and his depression, his despair. If cannabis was legal and socially accepted, he could still be alive today. And that's part of why I do a lot of this stuff. But the bigger part is that I know that I'm not alone. Also, look at that. Sorry, I just realized this was like glitched from, or even from here. It was just moved over. Look at that. Literally, we just gotta move it over like a Rubik's Cube or something to right here. I love that. And it's only pieces of it too. Like that wall and then that thing. Where did that go? Did that need to go like over here somewhere? But then like where's the tower that went with that? Anyway, sorry, I digress. But mushrooms. In fact, that was one of the political campaign ads to support us voting to legalize it. And I voted to legalize it. I fully support magic mushrooms, DMT. Well, it also included DMT too. Sorry, hold on. It was saying naturally found substances are now decriminalized and legalized for clinical use. That includes DMT, psilocybin. If it's naturally occurring, if you can grow it, then it can be used. Now that also, that kind of includes opiates and now opiates are just dangerous. And for those that don't know, opiates refers to heroin. Heroin is like the highest concentration of opiates. There's fentanyl, which is like a new chemical composition or something. I think it's like a new chemical compound of an opiate. I mean, they're finding all sorts of different new ways to basically make very similar substances, and it's highly addicting. And the reason that is because it blocks your pain receptors, but it triggers your brain to release the chemicals of when you're having a good time. When you see your baby, when you raising children, when you're succeeding in school, or when you even go to the bathroom, your bowel movements, like they all trigger and when you're hungry, like that's kind of the other way, your body telling you, hey, you need to eat some food, otherwise I can't keep functioning. And so you get hungry or thirsty or whatever. But the reward chemicals that flood your brain, they come out when you use opiates. Now, it's like what the Sackler family, I think it was, people that cut corners and accidentally and intentionally let loose the opium epidemic that we have. Now they're multimillionaires. They're wealthy beyond their dreams because they patented OxyContin, like a form of opiate that is a certain compound or combination. And granted, I'm sure it looked great on paper, like, oh hey, here's a painkiller that'll help people that are suffering from this, this, and this. We're talking about the most painful things, broken bones, like severed limbs, like all these things, like the worst of the worst. And oh hey, here's a drug that'll knock them out and make them forget it. Oh yeah, but it'll also grip them by the short and like sorry, no, that's inappropriate, but well yeah, we could say it, grip them by the short and curlies. There you go. Like, this isn't meant for kids, but the adults will know, the kids will wonder what. Hopefully there's not too many kids watching this, but it is a kind of kids game. But actually, I digress. I would argue against that. I'm thoroughly enjoying this, and even though it's appropriate enough to where kids can play it, intricacies of this game, there's a mature level of it too. Like, everybody can. But then again, I like playing with blocks too. Like, I'd be okay with that. Anyway, sorry, I'm way digress. We're talking about some pretty serious stuff here, and I'm kind of glazing over it because, well, and there's the alarm. So basically, but alcohol. Sorry, let's finish that thought. Jeez, I'm gonna have to make a few of these today to even just finish what I was even thinking. But basically, alcohol. Everyone that does hard drugs like meth and heroin, it starts with alcohol. Because with that initial lapse in judgment, and alcohol will make you make lapses in judgment. It'll make it to where you would make decisions that you wouldn't normally make when you weren't consuming alcohol. Meaning it impairs your brain. It stops your brain from working properly, at least while you're drinking. And so that leads to, oh, hey, why not? Let's. And then marijuana has accidentally been the gateway drug by, in the sense that when people consume marijuana or cannabis, they're just like, oh, is that it? Like that's what all the hubbub was about. And then people are starting to realize, wait, it's not that bad. But unfortunately, human behavior would be like, oh, this isn't that bad. Oh, wait, maybe this isn't that bad. And then they'll start doing all sorts of other drugs. And that's when it started like, okay, wait, yeah, that was bad, that was bad. And usually it's the meth and the heroin, like, and cocaine too. That's not great either, but like, and crack, a derivative of cocaine. Like, a lot of stimulants and even synthetic drugs too. People are making these synthetic drugs for the people that can't consume the regular drugs because they're being monitored with UAs and breathalyzers and stuff. So there's a whole niche market in the US about making fake synthetic drugs just to give to people that can't do real drugs that are already like probably still should be illegal to a point, but not to where they're getting people in prison and making more problems, but maybe just make it like, hey, do you realize how dangerous this is? Like, and here's some healthier things to do. And then they'd be like, ah, thank you. Anyways, no, that's a lot of stretches and generalizations, and if that was just a blip, like you just saw a short about that, you'd probably want to tar me and feather me or something, or like, oh, how dare this person. But if you watch all these videos and you learn, or at least you can see from my perspective, and it's not just mine, a lot of people share this perspective of just like, really, that why are we the war on drugs? Why are we even doing it? Like, I mean, let's help people. Let's help it to where they don't need to use drugs. Let's help it to where, and same with abortion too. Let's end on that note. We can prevent a lot of abortions, probably almost all of them, if we just made contraceptives free and available, if we didn't shame people for doing natural things, like if we helped educate our younger people and keep them safe out there, we could. But then it's like, oh, but you're spending money. Nope, let's just say the Bible says it and let's be done, because those are the shortcuts and the quick answers that have been working up until now, quote unquote working, and that's what we're trying to fix. So anyways, I will see you later. Ta ta for now. I'll see if I can follow my list in the next one. See you there.